Hi class, welcome again to another session on rehabilitation engineering. So now let us discuss the range of muscle work. So the range of muscle work can basically be categorized into three types: the outer range, the mid-range and the inner range. So the outer range is a concentrically contracting muscle that works from a fully stretched position to a partially contracted position. Now, if the contraction is eccentric, then the outer range is defined as when the muscle works out from a partially contracted position to a fully stretched position. Now, mid-range is the range where the muscle are neither fully stretched nor fully contracted. So these exercises are generally used for maintenance of muscle tone. So full joint movement is not achieved during mid-range of muscle work. The inner range, on the other hand, is when the muscle works concentrically from partially contracted position to a completely contracted position, or if it is eccentrically contracting, then it works out from a fully contracted position to a partially contracted position. Now, this inner range of muscle work is generally used to gain or maintain the movement of a joint while the muscles work out. Now, you have progressive resisted training exercise where it is basically the training where gradually the load of workout is increased and the strength is built up. So overloading is a very important aspect in strength training. However, it should be done progressively. The patient should not you should not unleash the maximum load on the first setting of the patient. You have to evaluate and see how the patient is doing. However, the 40 we discussed about having an overall threshold value of 40% of the maximum load that a person is able to lift. Now this patient's ability to lift is going to change over a period of time. When they work out, when they become stronger, their ability to lift more weight is increased. So this overloading is a gradual but constant process. It should not be a particular value that is used throughout the therapy session. Now you have the isokinetic and isotonic exercises. So isokinetic exercises are performed using devices that allow contraction at a preset angular velocity. So the muscle shortens and elongates through a preset angular velocity. However, the load or the force that is exerted can be variable. So muscle will contract and elongate at a certain given velocity, but the force exerted by the muscle or the load the muscle is withstanding can be varied. So the patient has to be really motivated to perform these exercises because it recruits a number of almost all the muscle fibers for performing the exercise. Isotonic exercise, on the other hand, are performed with dynamic movement with a constant weight over a range as the muscle shortens and lengthens. So, recommendation is to build up gradually to 10 repetition and progressive percentage of 10 repetition maximum. So, repetition maximum is the maximum amount of weight lifted correctly for one repetition. So, the maximum amount of weight that is posturally correctly lifted is considered the repetition maximum, and the recommended build-up should be gradual to 10 repetitions in progressive percentage of 10 repetition maximum. So repetition maximum is a maximum weight value. So you have to have a progressive percentage of that weight value that is given as a load, and then for 10 repetitions, and then the person has to build up. So when repetition maximum is reached, the muscle fibers are when you have reached the repetition maximum, all muscle fibers should be recruited and it should be working, and that should result in a workout of high intensity. So all this, how do we know? We would know through experience. The physiotherapists are trained to actually understand whether all muscles are recruited or not by feeling the muscle. If all muscles are all fibers are recruited, then the muscle is really tight. It is very very taut, right? So mostly physiotherapists gradually work up to or work down from the repetition maximum for effective strength training. So either they start with a lower value and go up till the repetition maximum, or they start with the repetition maximum and slowly ease off the exercise. So it is just the physiotherapist's choice. So now you have certain isotonic resistance equipment. So we are doing strength training by resisting certain weight. So now this resistance can be increased by increasing the poundage of the resistance. So that is how many pounds the resistance, so the weight is weighed, right? So, and then it can be increased by leverage of the resistance, and then you can use free weights such as dumbbells or sandbags to work out. Also, you have these elastic bands which people use to work out their biceps. I've seen tennis players use that on the arm that they use for playing the playing arm. So in order to build those muscles, in order to work out those muscles, I've seen tennis players use elastic band, and then use freestand or wall mounted pulleys to work out. You have those weight training machines where there's a pulley and then you just pull up and down to work out your arms or the upper body. Then you have devices that produces variable resistance while the muscle contracts concentrically and eccentrically. So these are common devices that are available in the gym. And then also you can have bicycles to strength train the lower extremity muscles. Your quads, like especially your quads, gets really good workout while you're cycling. Your thighs, your thigh muscles, like they strengthen a lot while you're bicycling. Now, strength training, like I said, is like exercising in a gym. So, any individual who's undergoing strength training should have the therapist should have certain precautions in mind while performing strength training on the patient. So first one is Valsalva maneuver, where the expiratory effort against a closed glottis. So glottis is a muscle in your respiratory system. So you have the glottis is closed and you're trying to forcefully exhale. So this often happens when you're like weightlifting, right? You're holding your breath and trying to push against the trying to exert more force to push the weight against gravity. So often Valsalva maneuver can lead to a drop in the blood pressure because the intra-abdominal and intrathoracic pressure is very, very high. You're holding the breath, you're not expiring it, you're holding the breath. So pressure in your thoracic cavity and pressure in the abdomen is quite high. So that can lead to a blood pressure drop because the venous drainage gets affected. So adequate precautions should be taken, especially when you're dealing with people with cardiopulmonary disorder, cerebrovascular accidents, myocardial infarction, hernia, or someone who has an unhealed scar. Because if there's a blood drop, then suddenly when the blood pressure comes back to normal, the person can start bleeding again from their scar. The second precaution is local or general fatigue. So people with multiple sclerosis are often, you have certain conditions. This fatigue is condition specific. So I've taken the example of MS here, multiple sclerosis, because MS people usually when they wake up they are very energetic, but over a period of time their energy level decreases. Same is the case with cardiopulmonary disorder. People with cardiopulmonary disorder, right? Because they get tired very easily because their cardiac system as well as their pulmonary system is not functioning up to its capacity. So they get tired very easily. So when you're dealing with such patients like MS patients as well, if you are putting them in high intensity workout, then their energy level drastically drops. So they won't be able to even go through the day, right? So early morning MS patients are energetic, right? So you ask them to do a high intensity workout first thing in the morning, then they won't have sufficient energy to be to sustain the day, right? So you have to be careful with these kind of patients, and you have to prescribe low intensity training with adequate rest in between, because these people get tired very easily. Then you have osteoporosis. Resistant training should be gradually added to people who have osteoporosis, because the joints can get inflamed very, very easily, right? And then finally inflammation. So if there is a muscle that is inflamed, if a muscle that is strained, strength training might worsen the condition of the muscle. So that is also something that you need to keep in mind while you are strength training. So I hope you had a very, very fruitful session learning about strength training with me. I shall be back with more rehabilitation engineering, but I hope you take care till then. Thank you.